Hey guys, welcome back to another video here on Toned In Entertainment where we love pop culture. Today, it's time for another comic book review. Now back in October, I reviewed issue number 1 of the Transformers Back to the Future comic book crossover. And to say I enjoyed that issue, well, that would definitely be an understatement because I absolutely loved it. And I gave issue number 1 a 10 out of 10. Now, 2 months later, well, we finally got the second installment here. And since we don't have a time machine, let's not waste any more time as I get on with my review of the Transformers Back to the Future comic book crossover issue number 2. When issue number 1 concluded, Marty had just been confronted by Gigawatt, who came with an urgent message that it was imperative that Marty come with him because it was going to be the only way that they could save the future. But Marty isn't very keen about going on an adventure with Gigawatt and decides to give him more than just a piece of his mind. And before Marty and Gigawatt can come to any type of understanding, they are interrupted by Starscream. After a quick scuffle, Starscream appears to get the upper hand. Now what is Marty gonna do? Well, he's gonna chuck his skateboard at the Decepticon because that will surely do some massive damage, right? Now while the skateboard itself is harmless, it passes through some type of magnetic field. And much to the onlooker's surprise, we are introduced to a new Transformer born from Marty McFly's skateboard named Skills. Not wanting to waste any more time fooling around with Starscream, Skills, and Marty jump inside of Gigawatt. And where exactly are they going to time travel to? Well, it's going to be 2015 where the Decepticons run the show. Their only safe haven is going to be inside an old Delgado mine, which is now home to the Resistance. Now once they are inside this safe haven, they're going to meet the leader here of the Autobots, Rodimus Prime. Now when Gigawatt informs Rodimus that something is very wrong with the flux capacitor, Rodimus fears that all is lost. Now Marty is going to want to find the dock, as do the Transformers, but for very different reasons. Because according to the Autobots' intel, it was Doc who was responsible for all the chaos the world now knows. When Doc time traveled to 2015, well, he took along an unexpected passenger in Decepticon Rumble. And being a sneaky Decepticon, Rumble played Doc like a fool, pretending to be his friend until the time was right to show his true colors. Now, had the Doc time traveled solo, well, there was a strong possibility that things would have turned out just fine. And I say that because as Rumble comes across Megatron, he looks like a hunk of junk and admits that Optimus Prime and the Autobots are too strong and there is no pathway to victory for the Decepticons. But now that the Decepticons have Doc's time traveling machine at their disposal, the times will be changing as Rumble will head back to 1974. In issue number 1, we saw that Biff was like a general to the Decepticons, but here in this timeline, that is definitely not the case, as he's more of a slave who is forced to mine and stockpile Energon for 10 long years. When the day finally comes and he has enough Energon, Rumble proceeds with a wake-up call, but only for the Decepticons, which will give Megatron the opportunity to stop Optimus Prime with no resistance. And being the nice guy that Megatron is, when he sees that there are now 2 Rumbles and he comes to the conclusion that he has served his purpose and 1 Rumble is enough, he doesn't hesitate to eliminate one of them. Now how does Gigawatt have all this information? Well, we find out that he was once a Decepticon. But he broke ranks when he was fed up with Lord Megatron's cruel and unusual punishment towards human, and that's when he decided he had to find a way to make things right. But unfortunately for Gigawatt, during his escape attempt, his flux capacitor was severely damaged. Rodimus will ask Marty if there's any way the capacitor can be repaired, but Marty breaks the bad news to them that it cannot be fixed, at least not without the Doc, and they are going to need to find him. As we wrap up this issue, we see that in 2015, in Hill Valley, Marty's parents, George and Lorraine, are beaten down and they are forced to work under the eye of the Constructicons. But this Decepticon will be in for a shock as it's Doc Brown who comes to their rescue as he tells them, "This is Red Letter Day, the day we take the world back from the Decepticons. The question is, will you join the fight?" Now on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give issue number 2 of the Transformers Back to the Future comic book crossover a very solid 9 out of 10. Writer Kevin Scott does exactly what I would expect from a comic book crossover like this, and that's take us on quite the wild ride. There are some surprises to be had, like the introduction to skills, which was pretty damn cool. And the artwork here in issue number 2, done by Juan Semu, and the colors by David Garcia Cruz, are just so much fun that at times I enjoy them more than the story itself. Now, as of this recording, issue number 3 is scheduled to be released on January 27th. And if only I had a time-traveling DeLorean at my disposal, I would most certainly use it to see what chaos Doc Brown is about to cause in the year 2015. Alright guys, well that's going to wrap up this comic book review for the Transformers Back to the Future issue number 2. Now, have you guys read this issue? And if you have, what are your thoughts? Leave me a comment down below. And guys, if you like comic book reviews like this, make sure you subscribe here to Toned In Entertainment for future videos.
Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.